Hello, class. My name is Glenn Harris, and welcome to Hospitality Law. I am super excited to teach this class this semester. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be very engaging, and we're going to learn a bunch of stuff. So, without further ado, I'll kind of get started. First, a little bit about me. Uh, as I have already told you, my name is Glenn Harris, and I am a local attorney. I am a founding partner of Hensel, Bailey, and Harris Attorneys at Law. We're located here in Central Florida. We deal with a wide variety of legal topics, and I have the privilege of representing a lot of businesses. And it seems that because we're in Central Florida and tourism is such a large part of our economy, most of our businesses are hospitality based. You're going to have a lot of hotels because the tourists, and restaurants because of the tourists, and things that revolve around the hospitality industry are epicentered here in Orlando. I mean, it's what we focus all of our efforts on. So it's a big part of what I do, and hopefully it continues to grow and prosper. So the hospitality industry continues to thrive. Now, as far as you guys go, I want to thank you for registering for the class. I hope that you learn a ton, and I can tell you just right off the jump that it's important for everyone to understand that your higher education is incredibly valuable inside of hospitality industries, because this is what happens inside the hospitality industry is whether okay, say you want to venture into something that doesn't require a college degree. Like you want to open your own bar. Okay, you don't need a degree to open a bar. Okay, however, you are going to learn a lot of things inside of your classes, like the law class, like the legal processes, accounting class, ethics classes. All these kinds of things are going to be a very valuable asset to you. And additionally, for other students, especially the ones who are engaging in large corporations. So if you're employed at a hotel that has hotels all over Florida, all over the Southeast, all over the United States, all over the world, as you go through your time at that company, there's going to be opportunities to advance. Now, at some point when you get into management, they won't allow you to apply or be considered for a job if you don't have a degree. That will happen as you go up the ladder. The prerequisites for the job increase. So eventually it'll come up, and the people who have spent the time and the effort and the dedication to get a degree in higher learning will be the ones that get to apply for those better jobs that obviously pay more money, that have more benefits, and so on and so forth. So good job getting your degree and on this journey through higher education. So without further ado, kind of going to start with the syllabus. Now, the syllabus is posted online. It's posted on the portal with the college, and you're able to go through it, read it, all the dates, important deadlines, and classroom policies and things like that of the college are all posted inside of the actual syllabus. What we would like to talk about though is two things from the beginning. One is the book. Okay, it's important that you get the book. The ISBN number is listed. You can get a used copy. None of that'll matter. But as far as educational materials go, whatever the syllabus says is exactly what you need to purchase. Okay, and it will be valuable for you as the class moves forward. So as we begin, there's a couple, actually there's 8 outcomes of the class I want to kind of talk to you about and give you like some goals that I have as a professor that I'm hoping to instill upon you, that when you leave the course, you're able to understand these 8 core concepts inside of hospitality law. The first one is the source of law, like where does it come from? How does it work? I mean, just general courtroom procedures. The second thing is the discussion of the structure of the court system. So there are 2 types of court systems, which we're going to get all into in lectures down the road, but there's the federal system and there's the state system. Some parts of hospitality law, fall under federal law, like the American with Disabilities Act. Okay, that's a federal law, ADA, big one. It's important. And then states have other ones like your local licensing for your food and beverage, your local health department. So there's different types of state government, and the court systems are federal and state as well. So we'll talk about those, and when you leave the class, you'll understand them. A big one is alternate dispute resolution. Okay, so alternative dispute resolution, that's the system of if there's an issue in your world as far as law goes, what are the devices that are available to us to stay out of trial? Because trials are very expensive, 15, 20 grand to go to trial. And that's, just average prices. It can be a little more, it can be a little less. But there's all kinds of mediations and arbitrations and different styles of alternative dispute resolution you can use. We're going to talk about this. Hospitality ethics is a huge one. That's our outcome number 4 is we got to make sure we're ethical. Negligence is another outcome. Negligence is by far, well, I don't want to say by far, because it's not, because it's negligence contracts. There's a lot of that go into hospitality law, but negligence is a big one. So negligence is like slipping and falling, or preparing food incorrectly and people get sick. Okay, negligence. So when we fall below the standard of care, what are those things in hospitality law, and how can we, keep us from, committing those negligent acts? Next one, we're going to talk about. There are different crimes actually, and different types of civil wrongs that someone gets sued on inside the hospitality industry. We need to make sure we understand those basic concepts of what they are and how to protect against them. We're going to have a discussion on licensing and regulations of the hospitality industry. And the final thing that I want to leave in light of our little intro video is contract formation, modification, enforcement. That's a big part of hospitality law. By far, in my opinion, the 2 biggest parts in hospitality industry from a legal perspective are negligence, stuff like people slipping and falling in hotels and restaurants. And the second one is contracts. So in the hospitality industry, you have no idea how many contracts there are. There's so many contracts. I can't even fathom the number, but just think about it for 1 second. If I go to a local restaurant and the waitress comes up to me and she says, "What would you like to have?" And I say, "I'd like a cheeseburger and fries, please." And she says, "Well, that'll be $6.50, sir." And I hand her $6.50. We just formed a contract. I'm expecting to get a cheeseburger and fries for the $6.50 I just gave this lady. That's a contract. It's all day, every day. You don't even realize it. We all think these contracts are these written documents. Well, they are. They can be. But they can be verbal as well. And we're going to kind of discuss those at length inside of our class. And they're fun to talk about. So we can talk about, well, what happens if she gives me a cheeseburger? It's using my cheeseburger, but there isn't any cheese. So, what is the breach of contract? What are my remedies? What can I do? All those kinds of fun things. Now, one of the other important topics inside of this lecture is we need to discuss the types of lectures we're going to talk about and how they correlate with our textbooks. So, I teach class a little different than some other professors. I find the way that I teach to be very engaging for me as a professor, and how I would have been engaged as a student. See, I don't like the process in which a professor opens up a textbook and says, "Everyone turn to page 88." And they're like, "All right, everyone look at the definition of X. And then let's read the definition of X." And he reads it. Then he goes, "Now turn to page 89. Here's our first problem to solve. Classroom problem 4.12. Let's read it together." And then he reads it. And then he reads the sample answer. And he just reads from the book the whole time. For me, that's not very engaging. So what I do is a little different. Is I will say the chapter was on contract law. Okay? Well, I'm going to have a video on contract law. And the basics of everything I'm talking about are from the text. However, I'm not following the text. So you read the chapter on contract law and you will have a basic idea of what I'm going to talk about in the lecture. And then in the lecture, I'm going to talk to you like you are the hotel manager, or you are the restaurant manager, or you are the owner of the bar. And we're going to talk about the different styles of contracts, the ones that have to be in writing versus the ones that can be verbal, which how do we modify them? What do we do if we breach a contract? How can we protect ourselves against lawsuits for breach of contract? All those things. But I'm going to talk to you in a manner in which you're actually getting challenged to think about the procedures. I'm just not going to read them to you. We're going to actually have as much of a interactive discussion that we can without actually being able to interact. So it'll be fun, it'll be good, it'll be exciting, it'll be thought provoking, and I assume that most of you will learn much more by having the opportunity to actually think out a problem than it just being read to you and just regurgitate it out. So let's talk about some of these lectures we're going to see this semester. We're going to talk about legal procedures, like, for instance, how a lawsuit works, what happens if you get served documents that you're being sued as a business owner. What do you have to do? What are the steps? What are the procedures? Things of that nature. On the flip would be, what if you need to sue somebody? How do you do it? What do you need to do? Where do you start the process? And how does the court process work? So from beginning to end, what are the steps in order to come to a resolution in your case? Another thing that we're going to discuss is civil rights. It's going to be a large part of this class. So the Civil Rights Act of 1964 is one of the most powerful pieces of legislation inside of hospitality law. ADA is also very big, American Disabilities Act. But these two, but civil rights, we're talking about, it wasn't that long ago that a hotel owner could, not rent a room to someone because of their race. Okay? Well, obviously we can't do that. That is highly illegal and against the Act of 1964. But we're going to talk about it and the processes behind it. And it's very interesting to see how far our nation has come in obviously a relatively short period of time. In 50 years, 54 years or something. I'm not very good at math. That's why I became an attorney. But in the last 50-something years, 60 years, how far we've come as a society when it comes to civil rights and hospitality law. It wasn't that long ago that there were restaurants in which you had to be a certain, race to enter. And there was a time when people of certain genders had to sit in different places inside of different bar facilities, all kinds of stuff. So we'll get into it. It's very engaging to learn about. We're going to have videos on contract law, which we've kind of discussed. That's a big one for us. We're going to really need to know a lot about contract law. Negligence. We talked about it earlier. There could be multiple videos on negligence. I don't know how many I'm actually going to give you guys this semester, but there will be 2 or 3 because it's such a big part of what you do in hospitality law, because there's a great deal of lawsuits filed because of the negligence of hospitality management or their employees who aren't paying attention, because this is a dangerous field when you're in hospitality. I mean, think about it. I mean, when I think of hospitality, there's a lot of different hospitalities, industries, pieces, but like food and beverage. Well, you're giving people they're ingesting into their body that they, need. We all need food to live, and food can also make us very sick, and it can harm us. Or, hotels is a great example. Well, we're providing shelter. I mean, these are basic life necessities, and if you mess these things up, you can definitely find yourself in trial. Sporting events. That's hospitality law. Events. I mean, that's what that is. And we have a huge convention center here in Orange County. A lot of lawsuits from a negligent standpoint will come from events as well. So we got to talk about that at length. So that'll be a great, interesting discussion. We are going to talk additionally about the liability that comes from the sale of alcohol So we'll have definitely at least one video on the Dram Shop Act, and we're going to talk about, if you're a bar or you're a restaurant and you overserve somebody, what can happen to you? What are the penalties for that? And how can we guard against it? Another topic that is super fun to discuss if we get to it this semester is specialized destinations in hospitality law. So that's the theme parks, okay? That's, a big part of our culture. Or casinos, okay? So that is a destination, is what we call them inside of the industry. So theme parks obviously have a huge amount of potential liability. Keep in mind, we're putting people on roller coasters, okay? We are packing a lot of people into small spaces. We are transporting guests inside of our cars or our trains or our trams or whatever it is. We're transporting all these people. So there is a chance, a very large chance that someone could become injured if we fall below the standard of care for treating our guests. So if we get to that, that's another very, very fun topic to discuss. So as far as our actual review goes, and that style of video, I want to leave you guys with, I guess, this thought-provoking question. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I am going to ask you a question, and once the question is finished, I'm going to ask you to pause the video. Okay? Once you pause the video, I want you to think about your answer and then push play, and I am going to give you my basic short synopsis of the answer, okay, as I see it, okay? And we'll end our lecture with that, and it'll give you something moving forward, as we go into future discussions, kind of a concept of how we'd like to do things. All right, so I'm going to give you a hypothetical situation here, and we're going to see how you might handle it. Okay? So imagine, if you will, okay, you are a small hotel. Okay? Small hotel. You own it, and you have 4 people who work the front desk. There are 2 gentlemen and 2 ladies. You have 5 housekeeping staff and 1 maintenance guy. That's all you got. You got 10 employees. That's it. Small hotel. You got 10 rooms. Doesn't matter the size of the rooms, but you have your small hotel. And one of your female clerks, front desk clerks, comes to you, the owner, and claims that they are being harassed by a potential client. So someone's at the front desk and they're mad because their room isn't clean and they are being belligerent and they want to speak to the manager. Okay, so you come up, you're the manager, you come down to the front desk. The person is obviously agitated and mad. You can tell just by their body language. Okay, and he says to you, I had a room reserved here. I came in, they've lost my reservation, and now you have no vacancy in your very small hotel, and I have nowhere to sleep tonight. I've just come off the road. I've been driving for 13, 14 hours. Here is my confirmation number. Here is my email that you sent confirming my appointment. He definitely is mad, and he did it. And you know that he did it. He has the proof. What do you do? Is there a problem if, based upon you losing his reservation, if you send him down the street and he gets in a car accident because he falls asleep at the wheel? Is that a potential risk for you? How could you, as a hotel owner, protect yourself against your own negligence. I mean, it happens. It's a mistake. Something happened in the system. It didn't work. So what are the things that you would do, or a thing, one thing, let's go with one thing that you would do as the manager to help in the future with that issue? Because that's the key. See, when someone walks in one time off the street and some random thing happened in the computer system, well, it's understandable that you don't really have a plan in place. You're a very small, keep in mind, you're a very small hotel. This is not a large chain that deals with thousands and thousands of guests every day and thousands of transactions and has systems in place for when this happens. What can you do as a small hotel owner in the future that if this were to happen, that you can be able to help the client who is a breach, because you breached the contract. It's just like the hamburger. He came in and he said, here's my $100. You promised to give me a room. I showed up and I don't have a room. That's the issue. So what do you do as a manager in the future to where if this happens, you have a fallback plan? So go ahead and pause your video. Think about it. Do some research online about it. Just Google it. See what different concepts you can come up with. And then once you have a basic idea of what you think, come back to the video and we will, I'll discuss my one thing, what I would do as an attorney. And it's just because I have a client that does it. So, so go ahead and hit pause. Okay. So now that you have thought about your answer to this question, I am going to tell you what a local hotel that I represent does, because we had this issue. This is a real life case. And the gentleman ended up turning away the patron and saying, I'm sorry, I don't know what to tell you, but you're going to have to find a different place to sleep because we don't have a room. Here's your money back. Okay? The guy leaves and he gets down the road and he got in a car accident. And he claims that the car accident is caused because he's overtly tired. And he had driven all night to this hotel. He had gotten there with a reasonable amount of time, but there was an issue with his reservation that took another 30 to 45 minutes to resolve. Then he had to drive to another hotel that was 30 or 45 minutes away that he found by himself online or whatever. So he had an additional hour, hour and a half he had to stay up. He was drowsy, and he got in a car accident, and he sued the hotel. So, the hotel ends up settling with the guy. Okay, it's a confidential settlement, so I can't get into it, but they settle. And what does the hotel owner do now? Okay, well, now what the hotel owner does is he has, I guess, affiliate hotels would be the best way to explain it, that they have an agreement with. That if they're overbooked, because sometimes we do that in the hotel business. It didn't happen in this case, but in a lot of times, hotels overbook on purpose, knowing that people will cancel. So they have affiliate hotels that if this comes about, they are able to quickly and easily get that client into an affiliate hotel that's very close, okay, at the same rate, even if it's a more expensive hotel. Or on the flip of that, if it's a cheaper hotel, to reimburse them the difference in money. But that was a way that this particular hotel owner came up with a plan that in the future, if this ever comes about, he now has a contract with affiliate hotels, and he has an actual contract. So he has a contract with 2 other hotels, and they all have it's like a 3-way contract that says, hey, if any of us are ever stuck and we've oversold or we've made a mistake in our system, if you have vacancy, you will take our client and we will work out the money situation. That's really isn't a major issue for any of the hotels. They can figure that out. But that is how they solved the issue of what happens if someone comes in and we've overbooked. Another hotel that I currently represent, they always have 10% of their rooms unoccupied. Always. It's a standard procedure. They are a larger hotel, and from being in situations like this, They always carry 10% of the room. So if they're a 100-room hotel, they will only ever reserve 90. They will never go 91, 90. They're never at 100% occupancy at any time. And it is for reasons like this. It is so they always have extra rooms. They always have, in that 10%, they always have a couple handicap rooms accessible ready, just in case. Because what happens if you have a handicap accessible person in a room and something's wrong with their bathroom and you got to move them to another room, but you're sold out 100% capacity? You don't have anywhere to put them because they're handicapped. You can't put them in any room. This hotel chain always has extra handicap rooms available inside of their 10%. So it's forethought. So when you get sued and you go before the judge and the jury, and the judge says, well, what do you do in this situation? And you say, well, judge, we have 2 rooms always on hand, that are handicapped accessible that we never sell in case one of the handicapped rooms go bad. That is the answer the judge wants, is that you have had the forethought. So in the legal profession and in this class, forethought is what we must have. And as long as we have that, keeps us out of court, keeps us from getting sued. So thank you guys for tuning in to our first lecture. It's just a basic introduction of kind of what we're going to do in the class. And I'm excited for the semester, and I will see you guys next time.